States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item is items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Board of Education members, have anything?
I'd like to say something.
Mrs.
I'd like
Murphy.
to say thank you for everybody that participated in Autism Awareness Days. I tried to go to as many schools as I could with Tia, but it was just overwhelming. And I'd really like to give a big shout out to Nina and her Riverview students for having a
Dr. Skalka.
Oh, right here.
Oh, that's okay.
Nope, nope.
I just wanted to say congratulations to Amanda Voles and the two students from St. Clair High School who have received $20,000 from the H&R Block Challenge, and I believe one of those students is going on and is qualifying for a $100,000 scholarship. And the other thing I would like to say is I would like to thank the Marine City Scholarship Foundation. We gave out over $30,000 in scholarship money a week ago, well, about 10 days ago. So congratulations to those students also.
And on that note, the Marine City Scholarship Foundation dinner is coming up. Lots of seats left. If you have any interest in coming, we would love to have you.
I believe it's a week from tonight.
Week from tonight.
Yeah, Monday, May 4th,
Yes.
7 o'clock.
It'll be at the Marine City Middle School cafeteria, and you can buy tickets through McBride Manley PC in Marine City. Special recognition tonight, our Winter Athletic Awards, and we're going to start with Marine City High School, Mrs. Saibula.
Good evening. We have a packed house tonight. First up, we have our Mac Gold Sportsmanship Award for our boys and girls bowling team. This was the inaugural year for both of these teams for Marine City High School. It was also the first ever bowling team, and we are proud to announce that both of these teams, I'm going to flip from the boys to the girls, received the same award for the sportsmanship. Accepting the award tonight will be Mrs. Terry Crampton. She was the coach for both of these teams. Terry's positive leadership was essential to the success that both of these teams experienced this year. Thank you very much, Terry. I know that was a lot of work. Again, that was for the boys and for the girls team. From the girls bowling team, Alyssa Crampton received all league, all regional, and all state honors. Alyssa also took 6th place at the state competition, and Alyssa's favorite part of this year's season was working with students she had not met before and meeting students from other schools. Congratulations, Alyssa. From our girls varsity basketball team, we have Carissa Austin. Carissa received all league, all area first team, school record for the most 3-pointers in a season. She had 57. Wow. Which I think if we did real quick would be 171 points. Don't check my math. And Carissa's favorite part of this season was working with her teammates. Our final award this evening goes to Michael DeVlamick. Michael received all league and all area first team. Michael swam the 100 butterfly, and he enjoyed the diverse workouts that his coaches put together during the practice sessions. So congratulations to tonight's recipients and to all of Marine City High School's winter athletes. Thank you very much. Mr. Jeff Cook.
Dr. Skelka, members of the board, I'd like to recognize our St. Clair High School winter athletes and teams for their Accomplishments this past winter season. We'll start off with our varsity competitive cheerleading team. They were a regional qualifier, and they won the Mac White Sportsmanship Award, and I believe that our coach is here, Chris Nesbitt. Individual sport winners. In varsity swim, Evan Warner, all-league, all-area first team, and a state finalist qualifier. He was a school record breaker there at the bottom in 1, 2, 3, 4 different events. So, great job. Also from swim, Adam George, all-league, all-area first team, and a state finalist qualifier. He broke school records in 1, 2, 3, 4 different events as well this year. Mac Gerald Roberts, varsity swim, all-league, all-area first team, state finalist qualifier, and a part of 3 record breakers this past winter season. William Oldford, all-league, all-area first team, and a state finalist qualifier, and he was part of 2 relay teams that broke a school record this year. Christian Dunges in swim, all-league, and a state finalist qualifier, school record breaker in 3 different relay events this school year. Tristan Fraley, he was all-league, and he was a state finalist qualifier in swim. For varsity wrestling, Nathan Roberts, regional qualifier. Dylan Gottschalk, regional qualifier. Trevor Pickett, who was also a regional qualifier but advanced to the state finals, only our second wrestler ever to the state finals. And the sport of basketball, Clark Lamb, all-league and all-area first team. Ben Davidson, all-league, all-area first team. Ben's not here because he's playing basketball. In competitive cheer, Lake and Coleman, all-district, all-region. Kylie Percha, all-league, all-district. Allison Shunk, all-district. In varsity basketball, Brooke Mon, all-league, all-area first team. And that is it for our St. Clair High School winter athletes and coaches. Thank you very much.
Next, academic spotlight at Eddy Elementary, Mr. Rick Carlson.
Dr. Skalka, President Beware, members of the board, thanks for having us here tonight. I would like to invite the students that I asked to come here tonight to share some of the work, as well as any staff members from Eddy. You could kind of stand behind them just because the spotlight on them and the work we're doing at school isn't possible without the staff involved, and frankly, the staff at my school, as well as all the schools I've ever been a part of, really love their kids, and that's why they're here. So staff members, if you could stand up, and kids, you can come over here, okay? Right up here, kiddo. All right, so our theme for the school year was try, care, learn. We're old school. I suppose the old school part of it comes into play. This is our 75th year in existence as far as serving our community, and you know, those are some pretty old school values. So we walk through those, or continue to walk through those this year, and how they impact student learning. We'll take a look at right now. So enough of me talking. Let's get to people who are doing the learning and experiencing.
One day I went to school and I learned something new. I learned that I knew how to spell the word play, and I was so happy that I could do a sentence with the word play. Yay.
Oh, that's too cute.
Learning is an intertwined part of our humanity. Cavemen did not invent the fire to meet some sort of common core standard, and love sonnets were not composed to earn an A in some sort of music class. It's just a part of who we are. When we learn as people, we feel good about ourselves and about what we're doing and accomplishing. But sometimes things get in the way of that. So I'll share a quick personal story. About 4 years ago, I was talking with my wife at our breakfast table, and she was mentioning how many clothes she was washing, particularly of our 4-year-old daughter. And that moment I turned to Ella, and she then spilled all of her milk and cereal over clothes because she was kind of slouching over. And I said, Ella, that's exactly what we're talking about. And she looked up at me and she said, Dad, I'm trying. So flabbergasted, I went to work and ended up at the middle school in the afternoon in front of 60-plus middle school choir students, and we were preparing for a concert, and it was not going well. So we're working through a piece, and they're not real focused, and making some mistakes over and over again. And so I kind of stopped and mentioned my frustration with it, and the response was, Mr. Carlson, what do you want from us? We're really trying. Then I became unhinged and said, you know, that was you trying? That was what you call trying, looks like? And I kind of got upset on their behalf that they're defining trying with the effort that they were putting forth. And I realized at that moment that trying is a relative term for people. And my child and the students that were in front of me at that moment believed that there was an alternate definition of trying or try. So this is probably what it might have said if I asked them to write it down, which they probably wouldn't have at that time. I'm trying. I'm trying. This year we've been walking through what trying really means, and I have a student that maybe has a little different understanding of the word try.
I have been trying to improve my schoolwork this year. I have been doing my homework for 4 hours a night. My grandma has been helping me with math and reading, and we had a lot of tears. Because I have been trying so hard, and all of my tears, one day it all disappeared, and I can do all of my homework without struggling anymore.
So if our curriculum and facilities and teaching strategies might be considered the engineering of a car, then trying and caring would have to be the fuel for that car. And you can develop cutting-edge engineering, and you can have a Porsche parked in your front driveway, but without any gas in the tank, it's not going to go very far. So, so our idea, or I say our idea, it was kind of my own picadillos of education as a teacher, and then our staff did a great job of supporting me in my putting this out there. But what do we do about it? How do we structure trying and caring and learning to our students? Well, we've had 3 assemblies. First assembly was beginning of the year. What does trying really mean? What does that really look like? And when do we say we're trying when really that's not really the case, and how do we falsely define that for ourselves and the damage that it might do? The second assembly was, what does caring for myself and other people really look like? What are examples of that? And then the last assembly we did, beginning of March, was when I try and when I care, how does it affect my learning? When I put that fuel in the engine, what can I really accomplish?
When I try. You'll never want to be what I've been through. Well, if you're younger and you're not a second grader, then you'll know what I mean when you're in second grade. So anyway, about 3 months ago, we were learning this method called the expanded method. We talked about it on the smartboard. I thought that method was going to be easy, but how wrong I was. That method was impossible. It was so hard to pass that method when I tried my very, 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 very best. I still got it wrong. But 6 minutes later, I actually got it done. I was so happy that I passed. Now I know just because you think something's easy doesn't mean it really is.
Second grade.
So, in the fall, the way that we did our assembly, and then we kind of walked through how do we keep this alive throughout the year, and we decided that when kids are doing something really special, when they're doing something that really exemplifies trying, we're going to acknowledge it. Sometimes we took pictures of it, put it up on the main board in the hallway. We also had each class go up to this board and sign their name up for a commitment to try at everything they can do this year. So those are different ways we try to make it tangible and concrete for kids about what trying is and their commitment to doing that. And frankly, used it a lot of times in some of our behavioral things. If a kid had an issue, wasn't walking through their commitment, I'd walk up to the board and I'd say, why don't you find your name up here for me? And they would. And I'd say, what do you think that means that you signed this? And it kind of keeps a little accountability on their shoulders for that, even at younger ages. So after that segment of time, fall, we moved into our caring phase. Again, had an assembly and did some things like Ms. Nowakowski organized a blue jean drive for kids in distress, a way that we can show caring for our community. But also we wanted to make sure that we were demonstrating how we care about ourselves and our classmates. So when that happened, when teachers recognized that, we had those C's and A's and R's and E's cut out, and they'd hand them to the kid would write their name on it, and then they'd staple that on the main board as well, so that there was a physical presence in the hallway of what it looks like to be an environment where we're trying to care for one another. As I mentioned, our staff has done a tremendous job of adapting with this. These are shots from different classrooms, and they took it to heart, and they put it in place in their own classroom. And some advantages to doing that is it creates a centralized message for our kids, and some common language too. So that when I say something in my office, when they say something in a classroom, when there's a lunchroom person that's addressing them, it's a similar vocabulary that we're using. And also, staff member mentioned to me that they felt like it helped in aiding the ownership of the learning to the student and not just on the teacher's shoulders, or the parents for that matter, which is really what we wanted.
One day in math, we were learning algebra. Mrs. Monroe was teaching us tricks. I really did not get them. So I raised my hand and asked lots of questions. They still did not come to me. By the time I was done asking questions, class was over. We had homework that night. So when I got home, I got to it. It was so hard I began to cry. I just did not get it. So the next day I stayed in for recess and got some help from Mrs. Rowland on my homework. She helped a lot. She told me lots of helpful things. But the best thing that she said is to keep trying, as tough as it might be.
So not that we don't focus on learning the other months, but then we're going to take a look at how trying and caring translates into our learning. So in March, it was Reading Month. We worked on a consecutive club, which meant, hey, 7 days in a row, are you a part of that group that's reading every single day? To help to instill some patterns of healthy learning at home. And then they could, if they missed a day, okay, you're not on the consecutive club that week, but the next week you can jump back in. In April, I have these writing samples that most of the school has participated in, and selected these students as just some representation of that. I do promise you we have boys at our school. They're just a little shyer. And in May, we'll look at solving in terms of math and science. And in June, there's some graduating experiences and whatnot from both kindergarten, 5th grade, some milestones, and in terms of social studies, our shared experiences and how we celebrate those and create those milestones within things. I'm not going to play the whole song, but we also kind of had a school-wide song that I went into each room and kind of did some track recording. This is just about 10 seconds of it, because I don't want Mike Alley to text me saying I went over. So I'll do this real quick.
You read, you learn, you write, you learn, you solve, you learn, you get involved and you will learn, you ask, you learn, up to task, you learn.
And there's more of it, but there's some infringement rights with Alanis Morissette, so we can't go through that. In any event, so that's other ways that we're trying to make this theme come alive for the year and have impact on our students and learning and their attitude towards learning. This is a plaque that hangs in Eddy Elementary, just outside the gym. Knowledge begins in wonder. There have been a tremendous amount of efforts in this district to create cutting-edge curriculum, instructional techniques, keeping our facilities up and running in a way that outpaces many of the school systems around us. But since 1939, trying and caring and learning have fueled the experience at Eddy Elementary. Each decade since then, with kids hiding underneath desks for bomb raids and the like, depressions, well, I guess recessions. Try, care, learn is something that continues to fuel what we do, and I'm really, really proud of both the school and the staff and the parents to understand that all those tears that the kids talked about are not painful without fruitfulness. That's has an impact and hopefully will pay off tenfold in the years to come. So I'd like to thank the students here for coming and sharing their stories. Oh, and I got one more.
One day I tried to pump on the swings on the first day of school. I tried and I tried. And other people can already do it. Then one day I went super high because I pumped and pumped.
That's the best conclusion I could come up with. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She's gonna get there.
Yeah, she will.
Yes, she will.
Wait for me. He's funny.
The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda, including approval of minutes regarding our regular board meeting of education, March 23rd, 2015, approval of payment of bills, financial statement, schedule of investments. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kennegbauer,
Support.
support by Mr. Richley. Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. So moved. Item number 6, recognition of persons wishing to address the board. No green cards filled out? Okay, thank you. Reports, our superintendent report, Dr. Skolka.
Yes, if I could just provide some information regarding Proposal 1. My intent tonight is not to advocate for or against Proposal 1, just to provide information. The sales tax in Michigan is currently at 6% or 6 cents on the dollar. Part of that 6 cents is legislatively and constitutionally earmarked for education, the state school aid fund. Other parts of that 6 cents is also dedicated to funding of municipalities. Proposal 1 substitutes the sales tax on gasoline with a funding stream that directs all tax dollars spent at the pump to transportation purposes. So right now, you're paying sales tax on each gallon of gas, and not all of that money goes to transportation purposes. Some of it does, some of it goes to schools, some of it goes to municipalities. Proposal 1 changes that so that all monies paid at the pump will go for transportation purposes. If that were to pass and go forward, then obviously the monies that in the sales tax that go to schools or go to municipalities, you would hopefully want to backfill. So the sales tax on fuel right now provides approximately $630 million per year for schools. Proposal 1 replaces the money devoted to schools and prohibits the legislature from diverting school aid funds to four-year universities, which have received $200 million or more from the school aid fund each year since 2011. And we know that our four-year universities are able to charge tuition and increase that tuition as they so see fit. Again, as I mentioned, part of the sales tax on fuel also goes to revenue sharing to help your local municipalities pay for police, fire, and other services. Proposal 1, again, would replace those revenues through a sales tax increase. What we understand, what has been said frequently is that Proposal 1 is complex. Proposal 1, why are schools involved if I hear roads? Why are cities involved if it's for repairing the roads? This is the reason. It's actually simplifying things because I'm not sure how many people understand that the sales tax they pay on a gallon of gas actually goes for all of those different purposes, legislatively or constitutionally. Instead, if any monies paid at the pump would solely go for transportation and roads purposes, whereas the sales tax would then continue to fund the state school aid fund and for some municipalities. In addition, Proposal 1, for the first time, road builders would have to offer warranties on local road projects. If a warranty is violated, a road builder, not the taxpayer, would have to pay to fix the roads. My intent, again, is to try to have people understand why there are schools, municipalities, and other aspects to Proposal 1, not just fixing the roads, because as it stands now, our sales tax that we pay at the pump goes to pay those funds, goes to pay into and support those activities. If we were to remove the sales tax from any payment at the pump, we would have to backfill those, or we would schools would further lose revenue. That's it. Again, I'm not here to advocate. I'm here to make sure that people understand what they're voting for.
Yes, Mr. Richley.
I just have a couple comments. I went to a town hall / debate thing that they had on this up at the Council on Aging in Port Huron, and somebody was there from, I think, representing the Tea Party, and there was somebody there, Senator Pavlov was there, and Kurt Weston from the Road Commission, the County Road Commission, and basically they went through everything, and by the time they got done with it, and most of the people I was the youngest person there. I mean, it was mostly just older people because of the Council on Aging, but there was not one person that walked out of that room that was going to vote yes. But I'm not going to advocate either, but I just want to point out a couple of things, and that's that if this is passed, there's 4,000 pages worth of laws that are going to be passed. Obviously, they can't put that out on the ballot, but it's a lot of paper. And the other thing too is it amends the Constitution, and the other thing is that the gas fund thing that you're talking about, the question is who's going to enforce that whole thing? I mean, and nobody could answer that question there at that town hall event, because technically if you say, well, gas for a lawnmower or gas for a vehicle, so it's, you can't really regulate that, but, or, I mean, I guess you can, but they don't know how they're going to yet, so, but that's my thoughts.
Yep. Anybody else?
Next month, we will ask that you nominate an elector, if you wish, and also an alternate, because the St. Clair County RESA Board of Education will have its annual election. One elector from each board will then cast a ballot for the nominated individuals. Those individuals have not been nominated, but I wanted to give you the heads up that there will be a resolution on next month's agenda to for us to select from one of the 7 of you a nominator, so as to or an elector, excuse me, so as to fill empty St. Clair County Board of Education open seats. Thank you.
And that's something that's open to the public as well. If somebody is thinking about running for the St. Clair County RESA Board, that's something that's open at this point, so.
Okay. Next item, information discussion items. Dr. Sculp, do you have anything that?
There is none at this point as we prepare for the final 14-15 budget revision and the 15-16 proposed budget, which we will have for you at your May meeting. This, as I indicated in a board update, this will provide you the opportunity to then vote on it at your June meeting without having a special board meeting. So we're working very hard to make sure you have that well in advance of June.
Okay.
I have a couple things.
Yes,
I
Mr.
apologize, I was a minute late, so I didn't get to the board member comment part, but I have a couple of things that I wanted to go over, and I believe everybody has a copy of the Barton Mallow contract in front of them. Going through on to the second page under 1, 2, 3, and 4, or actually just 1, 3, and 4. I have a couple of concerns, and that's that at the last meeting, and I rewatched it on YouTube just to make sure I wasn't just thinking the stuff up, but it was said that this was going to cost $3,500 at the most, and according to this document that was signed on the 12th of March, it says, and I'll read exactly what it is. It says, should the East China School, this is under number 1, and it's like in the second paragraph, should the East China School District decide the timing is not right and delay a ballot proposal and forgo any campaign services, Barton Mallow will be reimbursed a total of $3,500 for the facility and technology audit and defer any additional cost until such time a bond issue is passed, which that's what we were told was going to happen. But then if you go under number 3, this is if the bond is approved by voters, if we put it to a bond and the people vote for it. The very last couple, I think, last sentence, it says Barton Mallow will be reimbursed a total of $34,000 from bond proceeds for pre-bond services in addition to the negotiated costs to provide construction and management services. Then under number 4, in the, let's see, it's after the first sentence, it says, if the bond issue is unsuccessful and the Board of Education wishes to continue promoting an alternative bond issue in the future, so in other words, people vote it down, or if they choose not to go with that, Barton Mallow will defer any cost until successful passage of a program. If the district decides not to pursue a bond program, Barton Mallow will be reimbursed a total of $9,000. So that was not $3,500, and when people were told that, when the public was told that, I believe that that was a misrepresentation of what was in front of us, and that's why in the future, I believe we need to get a copy of this before anything is signed.
Absolutely, because it's dated March 12th, and you told us about it at our March meeting.
Again, I've committed the district to no more than $3,500. It is the opportunity to get the information that is necessary in order to determine whether or not we move forward with any kind of facility plans, including the demolition, the renovations, or the additions to any facilities. If I did speak to the fact that if we were to pursue a bond and it failed, that we would owe monies for the services provided in order to pass that. No. And I indicated that.
I never understood it like that.
No,
I'm
and
sorry.
that's not. Mrs. Bubuck brought that up. She said that, and then she was told that that wasn't the case.
I didn't understand it like that either. I didn't either, and this the little small print should have been brought to our attention too, along with the $3,500.
But with that being said, I wanted to also clear something else up that was said at the last meeting in regard to a bond. It's true, the one slide about the bonded indebtedness, East China is second lowest in the county in regard to how much we pay per mil for the voted tax rate for the school district, which again, Marysville is at about 8 mils, Memphis is about 7.5 mils, Yale is just above 5 mils, K-Pac is about 4.5, Algonac is at a little above 4, East China is a little above 3, and Port Huron's at 2.5. And this information can be found on the equalization reports on the St. Clair County Treasurer's Office website as well, if you want to check it out for yourself. But as for taxable value, Memphis is last with a little under 200 million. K-Pac's a little bit above that, a little bit above 200 million. Yale's a little bit below 400 million. Marysville's a little bit, or it's about 500 million. Algonac's at about 600 million. And so then now you get into the big dollars, which is East China, which is almost $1.6 billion. And Port Huron is a little above $1.6 billion. So that's why our bond rate, or the voted tax rate's able to be so low, because we're still paying the same amount, which income from voted tax rate, East China is first at $5 million. Port Huron's at a little above 4 million. Marysville's a little bit a little bit below 4 million. Algonac's at about 2.5 million. Yale is a little bit below 2 million. Memphis is a little bit above 1 million, and same with K-Pac. So just so that people know, when and if a tax increase is put in front of them, we do get, well, we're the top income getters, so, for taxes.
So what is your point?
Well, I'm just saying that I don't necessarily agree. I mean, if that's going to be the argument that we pay the lowest with the tax rate, I don't necessarily agree with that in the grand scheme of things.
We do have the lowest bond, we do have the second lowest bonded indebtedness. Yes, that is true that we have a greater property tax base than many other districts in the county. But I would say to you that a home of equal value in either city means that the city, let's take a home in Memphis with the same taxable value as a home here in East China. The East China person would be paying considerably less than the Memphis person because the bonded indebtedness, the mills, are so much lower.
Correct. But that's an argument to get people to move here, that your taxes are going to be lower. So
I
think it's,
don't disagree with that.
but because our taxable value is it's higher than the next highest three combined. So.
But the point, again, the point is, the reason why that is because we have a greater population, therefore we have more homes, more houses. We have, in this district, more industry. All of those things contribute to the tax base.
Correct.
Right? And all of those things allow the people in this community to have a lower millage to generate more dollars than people in another community. But again, I want to say that for those homeowners whose home is similar in value to homes in other communities, they are paying less total dollars.
Well, for school district, but when it comes to other things, that's not true. We actually, like in Marine City, they're the second highest taxed in the entire county. So, but I think the number one thing to remember is that it's not just about the school district when it comes to taxes. There's other things that are thrown in there as well. So I think I'm at this time not in favor of any sort of tax increase, but I would be in favor of a renewal of a current bond that we had, but not.
Well, the
not
renewal,
increase.
the renewal of the bond that we just did saved our taxpayers
With the refinancing.
with the refinancing of our bonds, saved our taxpayers $1.4 million over the same life of the loan of the bonds.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I would be careful in making a statement as broad and sweeping as not supporting any kind of tax increase without any kind of information as to the needs of the facilities in the district.
But I have this right here, which
But that
is
is,
enough for me.
but that again has absolutely no information regarding the needs of the facilities in the district.
We have to think about what's best for kids.
I agree.
Well said. Anybody else? Move on to item 9, board action agenda items. Excuse me. Per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves a 3-year contract, year ending 2014-15, 2016-17, to maintain auditing services with McBride Manley and Company PC for an annual account in conjunction with the basic financial statements not to exceed $25,800 and an amount per major federal program in conjunction with the single audit not to exceed $2,600. Motion is needed.
So moved.
Moved by
Support.
Mr. Kennigbauer,
Support.
support by Mr. Richley. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So carried. Recommended action. Per administration recommendation, the Board of Education approves the resolution as read. I will read in just 1 second. To adopt a continuing disclosure compliance policy as presented as Board Policy 6855. And this is a new law, and I'm going to have Dr. Skolka speak to that before reading the motion.
Well, and before reading the motion, please do get a motion to accept in a second. But the Security and Exchange Commission have adopted new rules and regulations for any governmental body that is involved in the sale of bonds, the repayment of bonds, and of course that would include us, and the disclosures that we have to have audited and report. And so we present to you the resolution that adopts a new policy so that we in turn can comply with the new SEC regulations.
I will read the resolution. The district is authorized by certain provisions of Michigan law, including but not limited to Act 451, Public Acts of Michigan 1976, as amended, and Act 34, Public Acts of Michigan 2001, as amended, to issue bonds and other municipal securities for public purposes, and federal securities laws require the underwriters of municipal securities enter into a contract with issuers of municipal securities to require the issuer to annually disclose financial information and operating data and report certain material events related to the municipal securities, a continuing disclosure agreement, and the district has entered into one or more continuing disclosure agreements and to subject the obligations contained therein, and for the purpose of maximizing the likelihood that the requirements of the continuing disclosure agreement are met. The district desires to adopt the continuing disclosure compliance policy as attached hereto as Exhibit A. Now therefore be it resolved that the district's continuing disclosure compliance policy attached hereto as Exhibit A is approved. The resolution shall take effect immediately as of its adoption. The provisions of the resolution of the district authorizing the execution of the continuing disclosure agreements shall apply to the documents and actions approved in this resolution, and the provisions of such resolutions are incorporated herein by reference. The district hereby delegates the Executive Director of Finance, in consultation with Bond Counsel, the power to adopt and implement administrative procedures related to compliance with the attached continuing disclosure compliance policy as a case-by-case basis as deemed necessary. All resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. Motion needed.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Frank,
Support.
support by Mrs. Murphy. Comments, questions? This is, from what I understand, something that has to be adopted by every school district in the, who does bond and servicing work.
Correct.
Municipal works.
As a retainer client of True Law, which represents the majority of school districts in the state, they have drafted a policy for us, for all of their retainer clients, as well as the resolution you have in front of you, so as we can comply with the new SEC regulations.
So this then goes into our Neola
Correct.
guidelines.
After tonight, I will send it to Neola. We're creating a new policy, so it has a new number, but it'll be in the finance section.
Okay.
I've got one.
Yes.
Does our executive director of finance understand at this point what needs to be done?
Good evening. Actually, everything that's in this compliance agreement, we currently already do for our existing bond. This is just putting it in formal process.
Good.
So it is something that I am doing with our bond counsel on an annual basis.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item on our agenda is a closed session for the purposes of discussing negotiations. The recommended action that the Board of Education goes into closed session pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act, Act 267 of 1976, that being for board discussion connected with the negotiations of a collective bargaining agreement. I'll do a roll call vote. Mrs. Murphy?
Yes.
Mrs. Frank?
Yes.
Mrs. Bebop?
Yes.
Mr. Kennegbauer?
Yes.
Mr. Richley?
Yes.
Mr. Distelrath?
Yes.
Mr. Beaver? Yes. When we come, we will move into closed session. We will come back out in here into open session. Last item on our agenda is items for next board meeting, 2014-15 budget renovation, 2015-16 proposal budget. We will adjourn after that. Thank you.